This Johnston County Board of Education to order. Ms. Dance, we do have a quorum. All 7 board members are here. We will have the invocation by Ms. Terry Sessoms, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Mike Wooten.
Let's bow our heads. Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, you declare your glory and show forth your handiwork in the heavens and in the earth. Deliver us in our various occupations from the service of self alone, that we may do the work you give us to do in truth and beauty and for the common good. For the sake of him who came among us as one who serves, your Son, Jesus Christ our Lord, who lives and reigns with you and the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session for the purpose stated on our agenda. Motion by Mr. Carroll, second by Mr. Byrd. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries 7-0. We'll now enter closed session. And welcome to your Johnston County Board of Education meeting. We would like to go into open session. We have already had our quorum invocation and pledge as well as our closed session. So at this time, I will call on Dr. Pierce.
Good evening, Chairman Sutton, Vice Chair Ms. Sessoms, members of the board. It's an exciting time here in Johnston County Schools as always, but tonight we get to recognize an individual who has given a ton of his time as an educator to our school system. And so what you will see here is that Micro Elementary School would like to propose the naming the basketball court at Micro Elementary School for the retired teacher, coach, and athletic director, Danny Evans. Now, I must say before we even get started, Mr. Evans doesn't realize he's here for this reason. He thought he was here for a whole nother reason. So he is processing this right now. So while he processes, Mr. Evans served at Micro School from 1976 to 1987, and at North Johnston Middle School from 1987 to 2004. Over the years, Mr. Evans coached both boys and girls in sports that included football, basketball, baseball, and soccer at all levels that varied from middle school, junior varsity, and varsity. Mr. Evans was hired in 1987 as the first athletic director in the history of North Johnston Middle School, though he had been familiar in similar roles for many years prior. Coach Evans led many teams to victory over the years. However, his impact goes far beyond the wins and losses. Coach Evans created a legacy that lives on today. His love of sports, competition, and community pride contributed mightily to the beloved sports tradition that is still very much alive today in the Micro community. He is the inspiration for many area coaches and volunteers. During his tenure, as Coach Evans used to share this quote, I say it to this day myself because I remember hearing it. The strong survive and the weak fall by the wayside. This quote serves as Coach Evans' mantra, and these words of strength still resonate with many of his former pupils and players today. It is my distinct honor to recommend to the board to receive this as information to inform you that we propose the naming of Micro School Court, Danny Evans Court, per Board Policy 2810. This will sit for 60 days and will require a final action vote. And if I can have a point of personal privilege before we call on Mr. Evans, he's the reason I'm in this profession. He was my PE teacher when I started in kindergarten. And when I couldn't decide a career, he set me down on these very bleachers in this very gym, told me my next steps in life. And he also, as I become a coach, beat me 90-something to 12 on that same floor. But he shows you true tough love. But at this time, Mr. Evans, do you want to say anything? Can you want some help getting up here? I'll get there. While he's coming up, we do have Carson Cavaletti, which is the principal. We have his wife with him, Rhonda, and his two girls are here with him, and grandkids as well.
I'm sure Dr. Pierce can attest to the fact that me being speechless is definitely a different territory. I am humbled. I'm honored. I didn't score a point in that gym, but I had a lot of students and a lot of different individuals that did. And I am so just, I guess, got away with because teaching was a love. Real quick story. I had never seen Micro until the fall of 1974. We were on our bus going to play East Carolina in soccer, which is a story in itself because that was a game I learned in college. But I'm sitting on the outside or the inside at the window. Mitch Covington, our goalie, is sitting beside of me. He knows I've been talking about and furthering my education to be an educator. And he said, "Hey, that little school right there," we were passing it on 95. He said, "That'd be a good fit for you." And how poetic and prophetic he was. It really became my home, my love, everything I'm about. And I had a wonderful wife who understood everything that I needed to do when we needed to get clothes clean for a football game, or we needed to patch up something to make sure we could use it, for the students and the athletes. But at the core of all of it, Johnston County Schools was there. I remember my first day as a teacher. I remember the first time I attended a meeting with a group of veteran teachers that I started with, and they all gave me tremendous support and told me that I had landed in the best spot that the world could ever offer, and that was back in Johnston County and at a Johnston County school. I'm so humbled and honored. And, to be blessed with great leaders all the way through the years, to have great colleagues, to have great students, you can't look any further than Johnston County. Thank you so much. That's a big guy.
Mr. Evans, I know one teacher that taught with you that would be very excited today to be here. And that would be Miss Gay Renfro. Miss Gay talked about you quite a bit. I never got to meet you as a coach, but I heard a lot when I would go visit Miss Gay's house, dating her daughter, who's now my wife. But so congratulations, Mr. Evans. It is well-deserved, and I could not think of anybody else that needs to be on that court than Danny Evans. So congratulations. Congratulations to the family. Thank you all for supporting him and having him here today. Thank you. At this time, I'll go into approval of our minutes, October 6th, special session, October 11th, regular session, October 17th, special session, and then October 25th, special session with low performing and restart schools. I'd entertain a motion.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Wooten, second by Mr. Johnston. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries 7-0. At this time, we'll go into discussion and adjustment to our agenda, starting with Mr. Johnson. Mr. Carroll. None. Mr. Byrd.
None.
Ms. Sessoms.
None.
Ms. Andrews.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, with the decision made by the county commissioners last night, which is a wonderful step forward for our school district, I would like to add to item F, 7F, I want to add a 2, 3, and a 4. The 2 would be portable weapon detection systems. These would be safety purchases. Number 3 would be stationary weapon detection systems. And number 4 would be door props. So adding F 2, 3, and 4 to address safety purchases.
So I have that coming after special recognitions in that category. Is that correct? And after employees of the month C.
I'm sorry, let me correct that. It's 10F. I'm sorry. I had 2 pages stuck together. 10F, adding 2, 3, and 4. It would be after the town of Clayton. MOU. F 2, 3, and 4.
Mr. Wooten.
No adjustments.
I have one adjustment under Chief Academic Officer. We're going to remove the B5 International Baccalaureate Middle Years Program. That will come back to us at a later date. All right, with these adjustments, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Johnston,
Second.
second by Ms. Sessoms. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 7-0. At this time, we'll go into updates from our committee, starting with the finance.
Mr. Chairman, we'll talk more in detail of the changes that Ms. Andrews just made to the agenda, so we'll get more in detail about the safety recommendations that we have for the school system. But I would like to commend the county commissioners for welcoming the school board and Dr. Pierce's presentation for making our Johnston County Public Schools safer each and every day for our students. We can't get into the details. We'll get into a little bit of it when we talk about the changes that Ms. Andrews made, but they gave us $9.6 million to accelerate our safety protocols in our schools. Of course, the 9.6 included $1.5 million that we have set aside in the bond when we had the bonds in place to reimburse the county. So a total of about 8.1 from the commissioners to be able to accelerate our safety for every one of our schools, and also to make sure that we have SROs in each of our schools. So we continue to have healthy conversations with our county commissioners and on an ongoing basis, and they're all positive. And I just want to thank them, as well as the board and the finance committee, for everybody locking arms and working together for Johnston County Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wooten. And in the legal committee, we do have a change due to some obligations that Ms. Lynn Andrews has on the other items on the Board of Education. I have appointed Mr. K. Carroll as chair of the legal committee. So, Mr. Carroll, any comments from that committee? I know you just got that appointment this afternoon, but just want to give you the opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Carroll.
And that position has been posted. So.
Ms. Sessoms.
I am happy to report that after almost 3 years, with the help of Dr. David Pierce and his staff and Ms. Dance and Tharrington Smith, we have updated our policy manual. And it has been a tremendous opportunity to make sure that all of our policies are in compliance with the latest federal regulations, state laws, ordinances, and what have you. So we, as I get ready to vacate that seat of vice chair in charge, I feel like we've got it in a good place. And for those who are left on the board, there will always be a need to review. So thank everyone, thank my committee, those who have served on this committee. I appreciate your diligence and your willingness to come in and work. So thanks so much.
Thank you, Ms. Sessoms. And at this time, Mr. Carroll, the bond committee.
Thank the public for the support of the bond. Excuse me. We'd like to thank the committee members for their work with the county commissioners, and the county commissioners for the work on the bond, and the county commissioners' strong support and promotion of the bond, and the public for their support. I think it carried 65 overwhelmingly. And I do believe the bond committee is going to be here later on, that actually, or they're here. Okay, I want to thank that group for their hard work led by Mr. Landis Bullock. So we'll hear from them later to give them a better appreciation. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. I think at this time, we're going to ask the bond committee to come forward. Mr. Landis and your committee, please step up and share anything. We would just want to recognize everybody from your committee, all the hard work that they did to make sure that the bond was successful.
First sign of bad leaders when you can't get your committee to come in front of you. So, we want to thank you for the opportunity to assist with this bond. And it was truly a team effort. Every member of the committee contributed to making the bond a success. But it was not just this committee. It was the support staff from the Board of Education. It was the support of the county commissioners coming forth and assisting us. And it was also the support of approximately 46,000 citizens of Johnston County who voted in favor of this bond. Now, the committee was just meeting shortly before we came in here. We realized we have a job in front of us because it was over 24,000 people who voted against the bond that we need to educate on the reason why the county needs these bonds and how this is the least expensive way for us to improve and build new facilities. We have our work cut out for us, but the committee has agreed to keep moving forward if the Board of Education and the county commissioners would like us to keep moving forward. So,
Chairman of the committee, we would absolutely love for you all to continue your work. And there is an understanding between this board and the county commissioners that this was the first of at least 3 bond issues that we will be pursuing to catch this county up with our growth in education, our facilities, and maintaining them. So yes, please continue your excellent work, and whatever we can do to help and support, we will. But thank you for your service.
Mr. Bullock, I would just like to say that I appreciate each and every person that's up here and who's not present today from your committee that worked very hard to make sure that every district was covered in meetings and every question was answered during those meetings, and if you did not have the answer, you got back to those citizens. And, you know, I may have a little bit more free time after tonight. So I would be more than happy to assist the bond committee with your group as any way possible to make sure that it is successful in 2024 as you had it in 2022. And I really want to thank each and every one of you for what you did to make sure that this bond got through, because without this bond creates many, many obstacles that the Board of Education and the county commissioners have to figure out ways to keep children safe every day and not have many mobile units on the ground, as well as keep up with the growth in this county. So thank each and every one of you very much. Thank you.
and Mr. Sutton, or Mr. Chairman at the current time, Sutton, we would enjoy having you on our committee. You would bring a good voice to the committee. We have our work cut out, but we were glad to be able to assist the students and the staff of our schools by giving them the facilities that they need, and we'll continue working for them. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Ms. Furr.
Good evening, Dr. Bracy, Chairman Sutton, Vice Chair Sessoms, members of the board, and Ms. Cornetto. It is my pleasure to be back before you this evening after being away on maternity leave these past 2 months. It looks like we have a full house tonight, but we only have 2 groups of recognitions. We've got a lot of family support, which makes me very happy to see. With that being said, our family members, if you are here to support a student tonight, if you would like to come in front of the board and take a photo when they're being recognized, please feel free to do so. This is your boardroom. Feel free to move around and get the pictures that you need, okay? So at this time, if you're a student who is being recognized for character education, if you would come stand on either side of me, I'd greatly appreciate it. And as they are getting started, if they're coming up, I'm going to get started reading about them. Each month, we recognize students who exemplify good character education in the classroom and in their communities. The first student we have is Destiny Mishu from Clayton High School. She's being recognized for demonstrating responsibility. Destiny is a junior at Clayton High, where Dr. Earl Moore is serving as interim principal. Destiny exemplifies responsibilities in all aspects of her life. Teachers have never received an assignment from her late or not done to the best of her abilities. Her attendance record is immaculate, and she communicates with her teachers to advocate for herself and to make sure her I's are dotted and her T's are crossed. Teachers say they have never met a more dependable 17-year-old, and she is always aware of her responsibilities. Congratulations, Destiny. Next is Miss Anna Cooper from Clayton Middle, where Miss Sandra Morris is principal. Anna is a 7th grade student who is being recognized for perseverance. During the learning process, Anna will continue to retry until she gets it just right. She expects nothing less of herself and makes her teachers extremely proud. She shows this level of dedication in each of her classes and leads by example inside and outside of the classroom. She is on the cheerleading team, and you can see her practicing with intention to become better. Anyone around Anna naturally works harder to keep up with her drive and motivation. Congratulations, Anna. Next, we have Sadia Permal, a 5th grade student at Cooper Academy, where Mr. Jamie Stoke is principal. Sadia is being recognized for demonstrating responsibility. She is an enthusiastic learner. That's a sneak peek at our next phase. She's an enthusiastic learner who challenges herself and peers to perform in the classroom at the highest academic level. She works extremely hard to grow as a student while engaging in her assignments each and every day. She leads by example by consistently coming to class prepared, completing all of her assignments, staying on task, and serving as a mentor to students who are struggling with classwork. Cooper Academy is fortunate to have students like Sadia who demonstrate 100% effort to grow as a student and person. Congratulations, Sadia. And next is my man Jelani Harris, a 5th grade student at East Clayton Elementary School, where Miss Lauren Sabo is principal. Jelani is being recognized for demonstrating respect. I knew I had it right. You're saying boom. He is always willing to be a friend to our new students and make sure everyone is included at recess, and always uses his manners when speaking to others. When asked about why he shows respect, Jelani notes that his parents always encourage him to be kind to others, and explains being respectful means you have a bunch of manners and you help others when they need help. His teachers see Jelani show these actions each and every day. They report that Jelani goes above and beyond to help teachers and others. Congratulations, Jelani. Next, we have Mr. Dante Watson, a 5th grade student at West Clayton Elementary, where Miss Paige Barnes is principal. Dante is being recognized for demonstrating self-discipline. Miss Barnes wrote that although he is being recognized for self-discipline, it was incredibly difficult to identify just one character trait that exemplified this student. Dante embodies self-discipline, respect, perseverance, responsibility, compassion, integrity, courage, honesty, and loyalty each and every day. Teachers from throughout the school have shared that he is simply an amazing young man with the best attitude towards life. They have shared that he works super hard and is respectful and is always kind to adults and peers. Congratulations, Dante. And next is Jenna Alexander, a 5th grade student at Wilson's Mills Elementary, where Miss Dondi Pate is principal. Jenna is being recognized for demonstrating dependability. Jenna has the praise of all of her teachers and is respected by her fellow classmates. When Jenna is asked to do something, she does so without hesitation. There is no doubt she will complete whatever task she is asked. She is a positive influence in her classes and a joy to teach. She never complains about anything and always has a respectful demeanor. Jenna completes all assignments thoroughly and keeps up with tasks even when she's absent. She's extremely proud of her dad, who is in the military and actively serving our country. Jenna will accomplish whatever she sets in her mind in the future, and her dependability will be a huge asset to her success. Congratulations, Jenna. y'all go fall in line. You didn't get it. Did I get it right? I got it right? Yes. You were close. I was close. Okay, good. Baby, you take your time. You're fine. And y'all can stand on either side of me. You can go ahead and stand. Yep. You can come on this way if you want to. Come on, file over. Thank you. And we'll have y'all stop there. Yeah, perfect. If you'll step up a little bit, they can sit down. Yeah, perfect. Miss Dawes, you want to stand with them? You are their advisor. You can. Miss Bear? Michelle Bear. Here with us. I told y'all we had a lot of family with us tonight. Next is our FCCLA organization from South Johnston High School. We have several students here with us tonight who have recently competed in the National FCCLA competition in San Diego, California, and they are here tonight with their advisor, Miss Cheryl Sauls and Miss Mara. So I'm so sorry, I forgot that. FCCLA is a club aimed at improving the relationships of teens with their families, careers, and their communities. Students have individual areas that they compete and focus in, and they also volunteer and give back to the community. They organize donations and giving back opportunities for the South Johnston High School community throughout the entire year, in addition to their studies and club organizations. This year, South Johnston's FCCLA had 9 students compete at the national level, and those students in their competitions were Jada Price, job interview, and she got bronze medal. Next was Sitlali Cruz, entrepreneurship for bronze medal. Reagan Vanique and Kaylee Collette, silver in national programs and action. Anna Algeria and Jalissa Zavaleta, say that right? Perfect. Promote and publicizing FCCLA, where they got a silver medal. Tatum Layton and Jacob Smith, they got a silver medal in chapter review. Layla Sauls, fashion construction, where she placed gold. She placed 8th in the nation and was a top 20 fashion show participant. And so I have a little bit more about each of those, each of the individuals that are here with us tonight. If it's okay, I'm going to read that for you. Layla is the daughter of Boyd and Cheryl Sauls of Four Oaks. She is the vice president of development for FCCLA and a member of the Joco Teen Drivers Club, Save a Life Club, and Girls Golf Team. This is her 3rd year as a member of FCCLA. However, 2022 was her first year ever going or competing in the FCCLA Star event, where she competed in fashion construction. She applied to be in the FIDM fashion show and made it to the top 40 in the nation. After an interview with college professionals, she was chosen to model her dress in a national fashion at the National Leadership Conference. She placed 1st in the state and 8th in the nation. And did you make that gown? It is stunning. You will have to put that on social media and show it to you. It is, you could buy it at a store. It's so pretty. Sitlali as this year's secretary and competed in entrepreneurship and received bronze in the national competition. She is from Four Oaks, and her parents are Danelle Cortez and Gladys Cruz. This is her 2nd year in FCCLA. Jalissa is the vice president of FCCLA and competed with Anna in promotion and publicizing of FCCLA, which they received a silver medal. She was raised in Four Oaks with her parents, Jeanette Martinez and Jonathan Warren Simpson. She's been in FCCLA since her freshman year. Anna is this year's vice president of public relations. She competed with Jalissa, where they won silver. She lives in Four Oaks with her mother, Karen Alvarez Cruz. Jacob Smith is this year's Vice President of Finance, and he competed alongside Tatum Layton in the Chapter and Review display competition, in which they received a silver medal. He lives with his parents, Sandy and Michael, in Newton Grove. Jada Price is the Vice President of Competitive Events. This is her first year serving as an officer in FCCLA, but her second year in the club overall. She received the bronze medal at the nationals level last year in job interview and lives in Forks with her mother, Belinda. Miss Saul shared with me that this is the first time in the last 10 years that she remembers having this many students compete successfully at the national level in South Johnston in the FCCLA. So let's give these students a round of applause. And y'all can go around and put your work in.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Can we possibly get a picture, like,
Doing it.
picture like if they go behind them, and just get a picture with them standing?
Oh, would you mind if they come behind you to get a photo really quick? Come on up.
Y'all just go stand behind them, fill in, and we'll grab a picture real quick. I think so. Y'all just fill in the middle there.
Just squeeze in tight. You want me to move this? Are you good? You have done for us and for your service, and wish you the very best on your next chapter.
Thank you, Ms. Furr. Board members, always excited to come before you and recognize outstanding employees. We have two this evening, a classified employee and certified. I'll call them both up and recognize them, and then afterwards give them an opportunity to come around and greet you. First, I'd like to invite to stand beside me Ms. Christina Long. Ms. Long is a bookkeeper, or the bookkeeper rather, at Polenta Elementary School, and she was nominated by several individuals. So I don't have enough time to read all of this, but I'm going to read sections of it for everyone. So one person shared that Ms. Christina is always willing to go above and beyond her job duties to help others. She stays late to help with carpool most days, helps in classrooms, covers the front desk without being asked, helps custodians, and more. She wears multiple hats daily and always has a smile on her face. Another person shared, Ms. Long is an amazing individual who never hesitates to help whenever needed. As a bookkeeper at such a large school, she juggles so many different things throughout the day. She is a true team player. Most recently, when a student became sick, she never hesitated. She grabbed gloves, she went to the custodial closet, she got the disinfectant that we needed, and she helped, and she did it all with a smile on her face. They even said you made a few positive jokes to help lighten up the situation. Our students know her because she makes a point to create relationships with them, and she gets out beyond the walls of the office. Her daily positive attitude and her pep talks to staff when they're having a rough day makes all the difference to those around her. And then finally, another person says that she is an amazing coworker. She always goes above and beyond to make sure everyone is covered. She pitches in wherever and whenever needed. There's a lot of patterns we're hearing here. And this person says, we are grateful that of all the places she could work, she chose to work at Polenta and Johnston County Public Schools. Congratulations on being our Classified Employee of the Month. And thank you for always doing things with a smile and pitching in wherever needed. Congratulations. And if you'll stay right here beside me. Our Certified Employee of the Month, Miss Charlene Spruill, if you'll come join me. Ms. Spruill is a teacher at South Smithfield Elementary. And I shared with you, I was going to share this with the board. When I was principal at South Smithfield, Ms. Spruill was a teacher assistant, and she was in school at that time to become a teacher. And so years later, I'm now recognizing you as a veteran teacher at South Smithfield Elementary School. So you are just a wonderful example of teacher assistants who are currently in our schools who are pursuing a teaching degree. So thank you. You were nominated by a fellow colleague, and this person said that Ms. Spruill is a veteran teacher at South Smithfield Elementary who has truly stepped up. She has taken on the role to mentor, assist, and lead the new teachers, both the international and stateside, as well as providing assistance with teachers on her grade level and others. She has held extra training sessions, assisted with technology, lesson plans, and professional development plans. She stays late to hold support sessions and has provided transportation for new teachers at her own expense. She has taken teachers home, to the bank, and to car dealerships to assist with the car shopping. She even test drove cars for the teachers when they were scared of the Raleigh traffic. So board members, you probably know this, but when our international teachers come to us, and we have 124 of them in our school system, they don't have a place to stay, they don't have transportation, and so the organizations will help them, but also the school system and our wonderful staff members help them to become oriented and settled here as well. This person goes on to share that Ms. Spruill has truly gone above and beyond to welcome and assist many new teachers and to help them and our school to be successful. She's also, no shock, on the Sunshine Committee. You're the leader of that committee. She plans and organizes staff events such as Friday snacks, chili cook-offs, door decorating competitions, and staff trick-or-treating. She is an asset, inspiration, and role model to our school and our new teachers. She has a huge heart and is a wonderful example of servant leadership for all. Ms. Spruill, we can't thank you enough for your many years of service to us, for working hard, even when you were a teacher assistant and now as a teacher. Thank you and congratulations on being our Certified Employee of the Month.
Thank you.
And you both win. What'd you say, Dr. Preston? I had hair back then, too. Miss Long?
Yes, I'm coming. Sorry.
Okay. I didn't want you to forget. We had some goodies.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
At this time, I'm going to ask Ms. Terry Sessoms and Mr. Al Bird for their personal privilege time for their farewell comments, and then I will go last. So, Ms. Sessoms.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. First, let me say that it has been a distinct privilege and honor to serve the people of Johnston County. This would not have been possible without the support of my family, friends, church, fellow board members, and loved ones, especially this past year since the death of my husband, who was my #1 cheerleader. Merv and I moved here in 1991 as teachers. I left my friends and family in western North Carolina, 7 hours away. We came here because we wanted to be a part of something great in public education and knew that things were beginning to happen here. At that time, there were only 17 schools in Johnston County, and now we have 48 schools. Why? Because families chose to move here to take advantage of the education that our dedicated teachers and administrators and staff offered versus other areas of the Triangle. And I can honestly say that my husband and I never regretted our move, and we were always proud to say that we were a part of Johnston County Schools. Having been able to serve on this Board of Education has been the highlight in my career as an educator, and I look forward to continuing as an old lady volunteer. While my family lives elsewhere, our Heavenly Father has blessed me abundantly with loving friends who have become my Joco family. God continues to manifest His love through the many people that He has surrounded me with. I want to give a special thank you to each of the board members sitting at this table. I have grown tremendously in my dealings with each of you, and I want to thank each of you for that. I also want to say a special thank you to Tom Stevens, who is here today, for being here this afternoon. He, along with other close friends, especially during this past year, makes sure I eat and gives me food for thought. And just a real point of personal privilege here, he has become very special to me, and I appreciate his support. I'd like to take a moment to thank our superintendent and his team of leaders and educators, employees, and students. Due to their ability and hard work, much good has been accomplished over these past 4 years. It is said around the nation that these were the most challenging times for a school board since the days of integration. I would agree. But because we have had excellent leadership, Dr. Bracy, and the best employees to be found, we have not just survived, but we have thrived. And I want to compliment you also on the team that you have surrounded yourself with. There is not another cabinet to be found with people who are more dedicated, better qualified, and more passionate about what you do. And I want to thank you for what you do for children every day. In case you didn't know, we are the only school system in North Carolina to have outperformed pre-COVID academic results, thereby erasing COVID learning loss. Did you hear that? We are the only school district, okay? Say that with me, only, okay? The only one. And there are 115 school districts, public school systems in the state of North Carolina. So I am especially proud of that. As vice chair, I mentioned earlier that we have updated our massive policy handbook through many meetings with our committee and staff. And again, I'd like to thank Dr. Pierce for helping us with that, and not only helping us navigate through it, but keeping us between the lines and in the lanes. I want to thank Ms. Dance and our other administrative staff for all that you do every day to make this job as seamless as possible. Without you, it would not happen. While we have not yet eliminated the policy which requires classified staff to drive a bus, we have made much progress in hiring full-time drivers so that this policy is quickly becoming unnecessary. We have already been able to release one tier of classified employees from this requirement and anticipate releasing that second group very soon. Our Career Tech Ed program has expanded so that we're closer to the vision of all high school graduates being either gainfully employed, enlisted in the military, or starting college with 2 years of college credit behind them. We have high school career academies in agri-science, agribusiness, air transportation, healthcare, international baccalaureate, culinary, hospitality, fire sciences, utility line workers, Joco teach, construction trades, etc. All of this is made possible through the partnerships that we have with our hospital, our local businesses, county commissioners, community colleges, and universities. The focus on safety has become a priority. Each school is now equipped with bulletproof entry vestibules and remote entrance systems. Esser dollars have been spent wisely to ensure safe ventilation and eradicate learning loss due to the COVID pandemic. And the next step will be to use this bond money that was just passed, plus future bond money, to eradicate mobile units so that all students are safe inside these secured buildings. A big thank you to Mr. Bullock and his bond committee for their hard work, and for those who have been writing grants to make sure that we were able to get additional school nurses. And there are now mental health providers coming into our schools as opposed to expecting kids to get there on their own. I am truly honored to have been able to work with this board, with Dr. Bracy and his senior leadership team. I've had the privilege, Dr. Bracy, of serving 9 superintendents throughout my career as an educator and on this Board of Education. And I have enough experience to know that we have the very best superintendent who has surrounded himself with the very best. And this, in turn, supports the very best educators and employees within our schools. And that is why Johnston County Public Schools is a great place for kids to be. It became very evident as each employee pivoted quickly, time and time again, to do what was needed during the challenges of COVID. I could not have been more proud while I watched our employees step up again and again and again to serve our students in ways that we had never imagined. I want to thank my fellow board members again, who I'm honored to have shared this experience. Some of you were my colleagues. Some of you were my own school board members and my own school board chair when I was a teacher and an employee. And some of you I came to know as we worked hard on solutions for kids. While we did not always agree, when majority ruled, we moved forward. My mission has always been to help when needed and leave each place better than the way I found it. With your help and support, we have accomplished that mission. I can now go to the house. Thank you for allowing me to serve, and may the peace of the Lord be with you.
Your chairs are good. You'll stand right up here, Jordan. Ms. Sessoms, it's been an honor to have you as my wing lady the past couple of years. Many talks that we've had, the support that you've given me, and just checking on me at times. We've truly, not just board members, but great friends.
Yes.
I appreciate everything. God bless you. So today I would like to give you this plaque. It says, presented to Terry Sessoms. Thank you for your 4 years of service to the Johnston County Public Schools Board of Education. Thank you, Ms. Terry. Mr. Byrd.
Wow, I tell you, that's hard to follow. Ms. Essems has been definitely a blessing to me since I've been here. First of all, I'd like to say thank you so much to the board when they decided to do the process of appointing someone. I'll be honest with you, this was not on my radar at all. My daughter actually told me about the process, and I procrastinated up until almost the last minute. And this is the truth. And but as I started writing, and I realized the years that my experience in Johnston County Public Schools as a student and as an athlete, as a graduate, and all the mentors and the people who have helped me along the way, especially growing up when my father was incarcerated and my mother was a single parent, and just the many people in the system that really helped me to become the man I am today. It just kind of made sense to put something together and to be chosen. It's very special. And so I'm hopeful I have served within excellence and integrity. I know many people always ask, like, why don't you ever say anything? So, well, sometimes it's better just to be quiet. You don't always have to talk, but I think behind closed doors, hopefully I've always tried to vote the right way and do the right thing, so to make sure it's always about student achievement and our unbelievable administration and staff. And so it's been such a blessing to be able to serve this position. It'll go down for me as probably one of the highlights of my life, to be able to sit behind this horseshoe. Never would have imagined it, but obviously God had a plan, and I'm so thankful for the last 18 months. The various board members in their own individual way who have just helped me along the way. When I especially didn't even know how to read the agenda, they would ask me, this is where you go next, this is what we do. And just really their patience with me, and I'm hoping that what we've seen now is just really the best is yet to come. I think we've just seen the tip of the iceberg in terms of what we can accomplish here in Johnston County Public Schools. Again, as a product of this county, it's just amazing to see the growth that we've been able to endure over the last 24 months in terms of the testing and things, and it's just going to get better. I think we have an unbelievable superintendent, really amazing story. I actually did Dr. Bracy probably 24 or 5 years ago. I used to work for an organization with the state, and Dr. Bracy is one of our student ambassadors. At the time he was in college at Project Teach. And every summer we would go to Winston-Salem State, and actually I was lead counselor at that time, but he was there. So I still have these photos of this Dr. Bracy before he was Dr. Bracy. And so it was able to be quite a blessing to be reunited with him, and just to see what's happening in his life professionally, and how he goes about his business with such care. I don't think people really understand the work that goes behind the scenes, and how much you have to really care about this job. It's 24/7. It's not just 9 to 5. And so I'm so grateful to have been in a way to be able to serve and to be able to kind of push the system along. I will say this right here, that as the next board comes in, really hoping this, it really is about student achievement and making sure that our students and the wonderful staff that we've put together here, that they become the priority. At the end of the day, it's going to be, those students are going to be in our places, hopefully, at some point in time. These wonderful students we've had a chance to recognize every month. Eventually, hopefully, they'll come back home, and they'll live in this county, and they'll run for office, and they'll be a part of the boards, and they'll be intricate parts, and hopefully their memory will be like, wow, we had an unbelievable school board that really cared about us and offered us unbelievable opportunities to do great things. I'd just like to leave this scripture. For me, it's like a life verse to me. It's Psalms 116:12, and it simply says, what shall I render unto the Lord for all his benefits towards me? And I feel like that. So many wonderful things I've had a chance to do, but it's because of great people who've helped me along the way. So, board, thank you so much, each one of you, for your help, your support, and just allowing me to be able to serve over the last 18 months.
We went through this process, but I tell you, you brought a lot to this board. Sometimes you were quiet, but when you spoke, it was like the old saying, when Hutton speaks, people listen. When Albert speaks, we listen, because you brought a different approach, but you always had students and staff in your #1 priority, and that's what we always appreciated, what you I just hope that we can continue to see each other. Maybe my daughter might be dancing next year at NC State, and I'll see you quite a bit, but we'll cross that bridge later. But Mr. Byrd, it's been a great honor to serve with you on this Board of Education. So at this time, I would like to present you this plaque. It says, thank you for your years of service to Johnston County Public Schools Board of Education. Thank you very much. God bless you. This is my last meeting as a member and board chair of Johnston County Board of Education. After hearing from other outgoing board members this evening, I'd like to take a moment of personal privilege. I started this journey with a piece of my dad, his cufflinks. So I thought it was only fitting that I end my tenure wearing his cufflinks tonight. First, I'd like to thank my family who is here with me tonight and have been along my side the entire time I have been a member of the board, including my time as chairman. Our family has a rich history of teachers and a school nurse that have served Johnston County Public Schools, including my beautiful wife, who is currently in her 26th year with Johnston County Public Schools. As you can imagine, nothing about serving on this board has been easy. So the encouragement and support of my family has meant more to me now than you all will ever know. Thank you all, and I love y'all very much. In addition to recognizing my family, I would be remiss if I didn't also acknowledge and express my gratitude to the countless Johnston County Public Schools leadership under Dr. Bracy and staff who have supported my needs and the needs of our district and the board throughout my tenure. And Ms. Dance, thank you for always giving me these Tylenol. You all have been incredible to work with through some of the most uncertain and turbulent times. Thank you all very much. The leadership team, phenomenal. As Ms. Sessoms has already said, I appreciate everything you all have done under my tenure on this board, and I just wish you much success as you all move forward with the new board. Given the overall commitment and dedication demonstrated by our staff, I would also like to personally and publicly apologize for the times baseless allegations and unfounded accusations have been made regarding certain personnel and board attorney family. For those of you impacted, whether directly or indirectly, I am truly sorry. These events have unnecessarily distracted us from our number one priority, educating our students. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge and thank those serving on the board who share a collective vision of excellence for our district and who conduct themselves as role models in our community every single day. Please accept my gratitude and know that for those of you who are newly elected to serve on this board and for those who are continuing their service, I wish you all every success in the future. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless Johnston County Public Schools.
For the past 2 years, me as superintendent, you as board chair. Some things in life you never forget, and I will never forget that night in May you called me to tell me that this board had decided that I would be the next superintendent of Johnston County Public Schools. I want to thank you for all of our conversations. I want to thank you for our friendships, and I also will never forget that Mr. Brick, you and me sat at Sampson County Restaurant at this small table. The table was so small, we were touching toes. We were knee to knee under the table. But I appreciate all the hours that you have given, all the hours you've taken from your family, and all you've done for this board as its leader. Certainly, I thank you. Congratulations to you. Presented to Todd Sutton, thank you for your years of service to the Johnston County Public Schools Board of Education. Congratulations. Thank you. Absolutely.
All right, this time we'll continue with our agenda with Dr. Bracy. Excuse me, I'm trying to get through this meeting. Advisory appointments, starting with Ms. Sessoms.
With the board's approval, I recommend the following advisory member, Stephen Prescott, to the Four Oaks Elementary School Advisory Council for a 3-year term from 2022 through 2025.
Thank you, Ms. Sessoms. We'll let that stand as our motion. Now we'll go to Mr. Carroll.
I would recommend the following advisory member, Jennifer Strickland, to the Middle School Advisory Council for a 3-year term from 22 to 25. And also would like to thank Tina Lee, who is rotating off of that board for serving Meta School as an advisory person.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. We'll let that stand as our second. Mr. Wooten.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Kelly Johnston at the Virtual Academy recommends the following advisory board member, Janine Sato, to the Virtual Academy School Advisory for 3-year period, 2022 to 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Wooten. West Smithfield, Mr. Johnson.
With the board's approval, I recommend the following advisory member, Delencia Pegas, to the West Smithfield Elementary School Advisory Council for a 3-year term from 2022 until 2025.
Thank you all. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next is public comment. We'll come back to that at 6 o'clock, and we'll move on to Dr. Bracy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, at this time, I ask that the board approve consent items numbers 1 through 8.
I think motion by Mr. Carroll, second by Mr. Byrd. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Dr. King.
Good evening, board members. Mr. Sutton, if it would please the board, we do have some students here with us tonight to do a presentation. I'd like to ask permission to operate out of order so that we can have our students and our teacher conduct their business with us and be dismissed for the evening so they can start their Thanksgiving break. So,
I thought you were going to say homework.
Well, these students probably already did their homework. They're some of those kinds of students. So we will shift over to the Joco Teach Scholarship proposal. And with that in mind, I will ask our Joco Teach teacher coordinator, Miss Suzanne Sweat, and our CIA administrator, Sharon Bryant, to come and stand with me. This evening, board members, we will provide some information about. Yeah, I thought we were kind of far back here. Yeah. Starting to wonder if I didn't smell good or something tonight. All right. I feel better now. We'll begin this evening by having Ms. Sweat spend some time explaining to the board the ins and outs and wonderful opportunity that's presented for our students through the Joco Teach program.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Bracy and board members and special guests. Thank you so much for having me here to talk about Joco Teach, which is a program I'm very passionate about because I feel like it is raising the next generation of Johnston County Public School teachers. So I want to talk to you about the basics of our program. Uh-oh, I did something wrong. Help. Is it going to let me back in? All right, well, I can... Oh, there we go. Oh, good. Thank you. Okay, so I kind of know this. I'm going to talk to you about the basics, which is the program is a 2x2x2 program. And what that means is the students come in as freshmen and they spend 2 years working on their core classes for graduation. And then they spend the next 2 years taking CCP classes to work towards their associate's degree. And if they graduate with their associate's degree while still in high school, that means they only have 2 years left, maybe 3, but mostly 2, to finish that bachelor's degree to be able to come back and teach in Johnston County Public Schools. So that's the basics. We have 3 areas of focus. The first area is education, and that is we really want to train up teachers. So in 9th grade, they take Teacher Cadet 1, which is an exploratory year. They learn about lesson planning and classroom management. And then in Teacher Cadet 2, they actually go into elementary, middle school, and high school classes, and they practice teaching. We have partnerships with local elementary and middle school and high school teachers around the county, and those teachers serve as cooperating teachers for our students so that they can partner alongside those teachers and teach the classes, work one-on-one with the students, and really get the experience of being a teacher. Then in 11th and 12th grade, they take CCP classes. They can earn their Associates of Arts in teacher prep, which would allow them to be a TA, but it also gives them more college-level classes on what it's like to be a teacher. And then if they maintain a 3.0 GPA through all of that, our partnership that we began all of this with was with NC State, and NC State provided our students with automatic acceptance into NC State and waived application fee, which was $85, so that's a big deal. And then they give preferential treatment for scholarships. However, our students can really attend any university that they want to, and to come back and be a teacher, it just needs to be an accredited teaching university. Our next area of focus is experience, and I've already talked a little bit about that. We want to make sure that our students really get the experience of teaching. So between Teacher Cadet 1 and Teacher Cadet 2, our students go into those elementary and middle school classes 20 times. They also are required to complete 80 co-curricular hours. That's about 5 hours per quarter. And by co-curricular hours, we're talking about volunteer hours, by maybe helping a teacher make a bulletin board, or helping a teacher with tutoring after school. Those kinds of volunteer hours that focus on education. In addition, we provide paid summer internships. You might be familiar with our 5 summer interns this past summer who helped with summer school, all in the elementary school level, got to help with reading and math, so it was really fun. And then our last area of focus is enrichment. And by that, we really want students to see what it's like to teach outside of the classroom, because we all know that teaching's not just inside those four walls. So we have gone to visit Ron Clark Academy, Ron Clark was the National Teacher of the Year several years ago, and he started his own school. If you've never been, it's an amazing middle school. It just gives them a different idea of what school can be like. We also have been to the North Carolina Teacher Cadet Conference in Raleigh. This coming summer, we received a grant to attend the Educators Rising National Conference in Orlando, Florida. We also help with Special Olympics and Read Across America Day. So lots of educational opportunities beyond the classroom. So some of the statistics about our current program is we have about 50 students currently enrolled. We have our biggest class, our freshmen, have about 20 students. And then our current seniors, there are 9 current seniors. We have 5 seniors who will be graduating with their associate's degree. And about 7 of those seniors have continued to say that they want to pursue teaching as their degree in college. I've also given some other statistics about our diversity, which is something we're continuing to work on. Right now, most of our financial support comes through the EWIF grant, which was a $120,000 grant that we won about 3 years ago. We use that money to provide transportation to all of those field experiences when we go to West Smithfield and Selma Middle, who have been our really strong partner schools. We also use that for our curriculum, because we use Educators Rising and the Teacher Cadet curriculum. And we also use those for just products for our classroom. We've also won several Nan Ogburn grants, which is what has allowed us to go to Ron Clark Academy and so forth. And then, of course, Johnston County Public Schools agreed to continue that transportation for us this past year, and that has been huge in helping students from around Johnston County to come and experience this program, which is awesome because it provides equality throughout the county. Our future goals, we want to continue building college partnerships and hopefully increase our scholarship funds here. We want to allow for peer tutoring and to continue to increase our diversity. So I want to really introduce you to the most important people here, which are some of our Joco Teach students. So over here we have Hazir Neri, who is a senior, and he's going to graduate with his associate's degree in May, as well as his high school diploma. And then we also have Kat Whaley to talk. She's doing the same thing, by the way.
Good evening. I hope everybody's doing well. My name is Kat Whaley, and as I said, I am a senior in the Joco Teach program, and I am in my 4th year of this program. I will be graduating from JCC in May of 2023 and SSS in June of 2023, and I am very excited. I wanted to talk a little bit about my personal experience in the program, as that I've had a wonderful experience, and it has brought me a ton of life skills, and honestly, it's been my major growth as a person. So during my Cadet 1 and 2 classes as a sophomore and a freshman, I worked towards doing different classroom observations. So we would go into elementary schools and middle schools, and I even got to observe some of my own teachers in high school, which was a really fun experience because you start to see it from a teacher's perspective and not only a student's perspective, which has also been something that I really enjoyed. Being able to even go into my current high school classes and being able to see things from how a teacher would see it, you start to notice things that you wouldn't have noticed before, and this program has really helped for that. I wanted to talk about one of my most memorable experiences, and that was when I helped out as a teacher assistant for an elementary school for a little bit. I helped out at West Smithfield for 4th grade, and I helped out for 2 days. During that time, I spent a lot of time reading with students and also helping with math. One of my favorite experiences of that was when we actually went to go to their electives, and we went to their art elective. A lot of the students had already finished their coursework for that day, and they went to me, and they had a free draw period. So they were asking me how to draw. And so we went through the steps of how to draw a person, and I actually had quite a few students draw me and then give me the paper at the end, which I really enjoyed. That was a very fun part. As well as I got to do some online teaching. So when COVID happened, we did the teacher assisting, but we did it online, and I helped with a 9th grade Earth and Environmental Science class. And so when we did teaching through COVID, I emailed the teacher back and forth and came up with lesson plans that I would do. And I created a lot of pair decks, which helped the students engage, because at first it was a little bit quiet, but having the pair decks allowed students to answer anonymously, and I started getting them talking a little bit, so that was really fun. This program has really made me grow as a person. It has been everything throughout my high school career, and I know that future students will enjoy it as much as I did. Thank you.
Good evening, board members. My name is Hizier Neri, and I am also a senior in the Joco Teach program. I've been in here for about 4 years, and it has been my entire high school career. It's been amazing, a top-tier program. I would do it over again if I had the opportunity to, and hopefully I get to continue it after. I had a lot of the same experiences as Kat, joining in the height of COVID, having to be a TA for teachers online, and having to view it, education through the teaching online and not as in person as I wanted to, but, I figured it out. And I was able to do that with the help of Ms. Sweat and the help of this program. I was able to help for a 7th grade math class. I helped the students by preparing them for the next materials that they had to learn, by creating fun games with them like Jeopardies to practice the material they were learning. I had some one-on-one time with them. It was great. We were separated into different groups, and this is one of my favorite memories. It's just having the students talk to you, having the students bond with you over the material they're learning, over the struggles that they're having, whether that is in class or maybe something else, just, being able to communicate with the students in a different way. And that's what this program has really all been about. It's just finding love for teaching and all these different, things that go into education and being an educator. And that has definitely been one of my most memorable moments. Also being in a environment full of other students who also want to be educators has been amazing. Doing all these JCC classes with them, all these different projects with them, co-curricular hours, helping as much as we can. It's just been amazing, and it's really opened my eyes for education, so I have enjoyed it a lot. Thank you.
All right, board members. That portion of the presentation being completed, it is now my opportunity to share with you what we believe is an incredible opportunity. I was standing there listening to these two young people talk and incredibly impressed, and thought to myself, I looked over to the right to see if Mr. Vetrano was over there. I was going to tell him to go and sign those two up in advance. But nevertheless, that is exactly what we want to talk about now. Board members, we'd like to talk with you this evening about the opportunity that we would like to put before you to make an investment in the future of Johnston County Public Schools in the people of our Joco Teach students. As you know, this year, and for the last few years, we've all across the nation as educators struggled with the issue of classrooms and not having enough teachers to fill all of our vacancies. This year in North Carolina, we started the school year across the state with more than 4,000 teacher vacancies and an incredible number of teacher vacancies across the entire United States of America. And so that provides us with an opportunity to provide continued opportunity for our Joco Teach students to be educated. This opportunity tonight will provide an opportunity for us to increase the number of qualified teaching candidates entering JCPS, and hopefully those will be young people from Johnston County who have a natural connection. It's an opportunity to attract some teachers to Johnston County Public Schools in the long term, and particularly to connect those students to our Title I feeder pattern, and to improve sustainability and continuity for our students. I can tell you that this process and this opportunity is particularly special and poignant for me, having been a North Carolina teaching fellow and being a student who wanted to be a teacher and not necessarily having a family that had the resources to send me to college. North Carolina Teaching Fellows did that for me. And what we're going to talk to you about tonight, board members, is asking you to invest in Johnston County, just as the North Carolina General Assembly invested in young folks like myself more years ago than I'd care to mention. So we'd like to talk about a Joco Teach Scholarship. And in order to be eligible for that scholarship, students would need to complete the Joco Teach requirements, just as these two young folks have just shared with you and their teacher. Students would need to have an overall GPA of a 3.0 or better. Those students would need to earn an an associate degree upon high school graduation, which of course Joco Teach allows them to do, and would need to be accepted and enroll into an accredited teacher preparation program at a university. That would be the university of their choosing. In order to remain a part of this scholarship program, students would need to be enrolled in at least 12 credit hours of schoolwork each year while they're in college. Again, maintain a 3.0 grade point average. Complete 20 hours of community service in educational settings during each year, and submit their transcripts back to Johnston County Public Schools to ensure that they are meeting those requirements at the end of each semester. Board members, what we're asking tonight is for the board to invest approximately $50,000 over the next 3 years, $50,000 over the next 3 years to fund a Joco scholarship. And as you see here, what would happen is we would fund 5 scholarships next year, each one being $10,000 for each of those students. In year 2, we would fund 10 scholarships. That would be the second year for the first group and the first year for the second group. And then in year 3, 2025, we would be funding up to 15 scholarships, depending on how the students in the first 2 years are faring. That would require the school division to spend up to $150,000 over the next 3 years to provide for this scholarship program. Again, board members, we feel like this is an incredible opportunity because these students will be connected to Johnston County Public Schools in ways that other folks that we try to recruit will not. This will be their home. They will know exactly what we need and exactly what is helpful for students in Johnston County Public Schools to succeed. And there is nothing more efficient for, I believe, a school division to do than to grow their own teachers right from their own community. And so, board members, this evening we would ask you to approve this item, which would again provide up to $150,000 over the course of the next 3 years to fund a Johnston County Joco Teach scholarship program.
Thank you, Dr. King. I just have one question for our Chief Financial Officer. Mr. Britt, based on these scholarships in the first year with 5 and then increasing to 10 and increasing to 15 in the third year, are we financially sound to go ahead and honor these? Thank you, Mr. Britt. Any questions or comments from the board?
Mr. Chairman, I can't think of anything better but to invest in our own students, and especially when they have a commitment to come back into the SSS strong feeder pattern. And I think it's a great opportunity for this board. I think it's a great opportunity for the students of Johnston County Public Schools. So 100% I move that we approve this scholarship program.
So I take it, Mr. Wooten, that's your motion, correct?
I would second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Oh, any more questions before we get
there? Go right ahead, sir. I'm sure Mr. Carroll's got one.
No, as students, this is for you. A 3.0 requirement, both of you. Come right on. Is that a barrier that is difficult to attain, in your opinion?
So with the resources that we have at the moment, I do not think that that is a barrier for us. Because we do have other teachers or other students in our program alongside with us, it's been a lot helpful, especially having that group. One of the photos that was shown like in the slideshow as well was us working on a chemistry project together from JCC and maintaining that GPA.
along with the help of other educators like Ms. Sweat, who are always there to offer you help in case you ever need anything, or if you're falling behind, you can ask her to help you set up something more time organized to help you attack those classes a little bit better, or maintain that 3.0 GPA. Ms. Sweat is always making sure we're keeping up those grades, checking on us, making like, this day is for you guys to show me what you're doing, what you're working on, and things like that. And for now, I don't think that's an obstacle at all.
Well,
I was just going to say, Ms. Sweat, you have done a phenomenal job with this program. And Mr. Allen, the way you have supported, I appreciate that so very much. Ms. Sweat had the courage to ask me to come in during COVID, when we had actually said, okay, students who are wearing masks can come back to school, and those who want to be virtual, you can remain virtual. And we did a blended lesson that day, and I will always be grateful for that. But your leadership with this program and the support that your principal has given, the only caveat is that you have to stay, okay, like forever. But no, I think this is a wise investment for us to make in our community. Right now, the statistics show that in North Carolina universities, teacher prep enrollment is down 36%. And that is because, number one, young people have options, and we want them to take those options, but they also do not see, they're not sure of the support that they will get. Whether it be through pay, and that is something that we all need to work toward, is making sure that our teachers are better compensated, because it is almost a vow of poverty. I know, having been a teacher and been married to one, but I think this is a wise use of our taxpayers' dollars, because when we have an educated community, we have an educated workforce, and that builds economic stability for our community.
Thank you for your continued support of this program as well.
May I ask one more question? The $10,000 scholarship, is that, as you look at that from your position right now, and $10,000 a year for up to 3 years, is it hard for you to look at, well, I've got to commit 3 years of my life to Johnston County after I finish school? Is that positive, negative? How do you view it right now?
So for me, that is one thing that I definitely had to consider, especially as coming back here. But with the opportunity, like the $10,000 a year, I think that it's worth it, especially building that relationship with S and getting to know all the other teachers and having those resources. This county has done a lot for this program, and this program has done a lot for me. So, yeah.
Do you think it's an attraction for other students to get into a Joco Teach program?
I think that a lot of people, like an attraction as in like,
To be a part of the program. When, if a student's not sure, what do I want to do? When you see a path and some aid getting there and a guaranteed job.
oh yes, for sure.
Ms. Sweat, how are you doing with your 3.0 with your classes?
So the 5 that are graduating, they with their associate's degree all have their 3.0. The other 4 in our senior class had to take a slower path, just because we really push these students. They're taking 4 and 5 college classes on top of at least 1 high school class each semester. And so some of the students, if we find that they are struggling a little bit, we might drop that down to 3 or 2 classes, so that they can continue to maintain a higher GPA, or so that they can keep up with their work. So those students, they may not finish their associates this year, but they might go on to JCC and finish it next year, and continue to improve their GPA at that point. COVID was really difficult, and our online classes have been really difficult. One of our goals for the future is to use some of that EWIF grant funding to be able to take students to JCC so they can take in-person classes. We really feel passionately that that will increase our students' success rate in the future years.
And also the 3.0, I'm glad you have the requirement, and I know we have to work with students, but that opens the door for them to get in the programs at the universities, because they're going to have that GPA to get in those programs. So, you know, this leads right to acceptance into those college programs.
Now, is that with NC State, or is that any university?
Well,
right
universities
now?
may have a difference, but it's going to be around that.
Right,
It's going to
right.
be close to the.
But right now, the only
To
guarantee.
get in they're going to be applying into the College of Education. They already have their associate degree,
Right.
but they're going to have to meet the requirements of the universities for their college ed programs.
Okay. We're looking to expand the same deal with NC State with some of the other universities around. But a student at this point is free to go to any in-state university? Are we limiting it to in-state universities? Have we had that discussion?
It's not limited, and even the scholarship possibility is not limited to in-state universities. The caveat is our JCC transfer classes are guaranteed at UNC system universities.
I think it's a wonderful program, too.
$10,000 will go a whole lot further at in-state.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
I will just comment, as a student, years ago, I committed to come back to Johnston County to work 5 years because I was made a medical scholarship. And, you know, we had to come back and work in underserved communities. And greatest thing that ever happened to me, because I was from Johnston County. But I think it's a wonderful program.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Congratulations. At this time, we're going to take a 5-minute break to get ready for public comment. Tonight, we have 2 speakers signed up for public comment. Citizens who have signed up to address the board during public comment will be called upon as they signed up and will have 3 minutes to address the board. The board suggests that specific personnel or student matters be addressed to the school principal, the Johnston County Public School System official responsible for the program or facility, or to the superintendent, and are not appropriate for this setting. Tonight, our first speaker is Mr. Ned Walsh.
Chairman Sutton, I'm going to defer my comments until January, when the new board is installed, because my comments relate to moms for freedom who are rabid anti-LGBTQ and want to remove books from our libraries, to which I'm very opposed. So I want to leave my comments to that time.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Our next speaker is Miss April Lee.
Good evening, Chairman Sutton, Vice Chair Sessoms, board members, and Dr. Bracy. I'm here. I'm April Lee. I'm a parent and a taxpayer. I'm also a teacher here in my 21st year in Johnston County Public Schools. I just want to say thank you to our outgoing board members. It has not been an easy time to serve on our board. There have been many challenges, but there have been many successes to celebrate. I want to thank you for your willingness to listen, even when our perspectives were different. There will never be a time when we all agree on everything, but I appreciate those willing to consider other viewpoints. I'm just going to put this in here. We are all aware of the bullying issues that have been brought to light, not just last week, but over the past few years in Johnston County Public Schools. Bullying has no place in our schools. Students should feel safe. I'm also going to say that bullying has no place on our board, and our staff should also feel safe. For our board members who will remain on the board, and also to you, Dr. Bracy, my hope is that you resolve to protect all of our students and staff. When Goliath is bearing down on you, be David. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. That concludes our public comment tonight. At this time, we'll call back Dr. King.
Thank you, sir. Our next item is an action item, letter sustainability. Board members, you are aware that pursuant to SB 387, all educators of K-5 students in North Carolina are required to participate in the LETTERS training program, LETTERS standing for Language Essentials for Teachers of Reading and Spelling. As you know, all teachers in grades 3-5 have to do that. Last year, we started LETTERS training, and our teachers are 1 year into the program. This year, and this item focuses on those teachers who have joined our school division since we started that process last year. We will be responsible for providing LETTERS training for those staff members as well. Because Johnston County Public Schools has developed a cadre of LETTERS trainers, we will not have to pay for actual LETTERS training for those staff members per se, but we will need to pay for those teachers to have access to the platform that LETTERS training operates through, which is provided by Lexia Learning. So this evening, board members, we are asking you to authorize the spending of up to $111,666.40 to provide access to the LETTERS training protocol for K-5 teachers who join Johnston County Public Schools this year. We will be using Title II funds to provide that access and to provide that training for our teachers. So again, it is the same training. We just have to start with these folks this year because they weren't here with us last year when we started.
Thank you, Dr. King. I say we just moved that to $111,667.00.
Round it off to $112,000 if you want to.
667 is better than the alternative that's on the paper here. So I would entertain a motion to approve this.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Andrews.
Second.
Second by Ms. Sessoms. Any questions or comments?
This will, I just don't understand, this will cover the new teachers, K-5, that have come into our system this year for 1 year of access to the Lexia Learning platform. Our people are training them, but they have to have access to the platform per the state, right? Per the training requirements. And then next year, we would do the same thing to follow up on the second year or any first-year teachers we have next year. Is that correct?
Well, this access, when these teachers will gain access for the duration of their work.
For 2 years.
But next year, if we add
Would be a
additional
new,
teachers.
okay, my point is that each year, we'll do this as long as there is that requirement from the state that letters training be implemented for teachers in K-5.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Until such time as, one thing just to note is that as the universities around the state renew their licensing to provide teacher education programs, they are required to provide letters training to folks who will come out. So that burden should lighten for us in the years to come.
North Carolina graduates.
From our North Carolina graduates.
Any other questions or comments?
We're going to spend federal funds this year because we have federal funds. The state does provide some funding to support with this, but we feel like we want to leave that funding set aside just in case we need to do some additional things with it around literacy. And we have the Title II funds available, and it works.
And again, this is a state initiative. This is not a local initiative.
No, ma'am. This is a state initiative. Again, all teachers across the entire state of North Carolina are required. All teachers who teach kindergarten through 5th grade are required by state, by statute to receive letters training.
All right, no further questions or comments. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
All right. Board members, our next two items will be presented by Dr. Amanda Allen, our Executive Director of Student Services, and with your permission, I'll allow her to present both of those items without intervening.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight. The first topic I'm going to cover is our Social Emotional Learning Mental Health Improvement Plan, an update on that. You may recall at the end of in 2021, we saw approval on our initial plan, and that's the last time that we formally came in front of the board with updates. So we wanted to share with you how the plan is going. To see all the details in the plan, there's a link there for anyone who wants to click on it. But just as a reminder, in June of 2022, legislation passed that all public school units must have a social emotional learning mental health improvement plan for their district. So we got our initial plan passed before the requirement of July of 2021, and we hope to give annual updates on how things are going. Since the initial requirements took place, there was one addition added in legislation, and that was for our secondary students to receive copies of a form that looks really similar to the image you see in the corner that talks about signs of abuse and neglect. The purpose of that is to make sure that any child that may be in a situation that is abusive or when there's neglect in their life, they know who to report to and how to find help. That image that you see is what a large poster looks like that was distributed to us from DPI. And one of the other requirements is that we have one of those in every single school buildings, middle and high school. So not elementary, but all secondary settings. Another large component of our plan are the training requirements. You may have heard over the past year, all of our teachers last year had to receive 6 hours of mental health training. And this year, all are required to have 2 hours. So 6 hours the first year that you're a certified employee working with students, and then 2 every year after. So our brand new teachers just coming to us will continue to need to have 6 hours of training. And then annually, everyone will still be trained for 2 hours. This is just an update on where our statistics are. The first year that we had a plan in place, or that we were actually just developing the plan, You can see where we've tracked suicide screening numbers. That's collected based on how many screenings are done by counselors, and those are only done at times when we've seen that a student may be at risk and they need to be talked with and then additional support put in place. So that very first year, we had 137 reported screenings. Last year, when we were fully face-to-face the entire school year, we were up to 499. And then this year, I looked at the number right before the board meeting, we're actually up to 166 for this school year. So we are continuing on the same trend as last year. And then below that, we've got the numbers of some of our more vulnerable populations. We've got our homeless youth. We are currently over 300, checked on that, I think, yesterday as well. And then we've got 30 students so far this year in foster care. So some of the things that we've put into our infrastructure to support students' mental health and mental wellness include having co-located school-based mental health services in 31 of our schools. The goal is for services to be connected with all 48 schools, but we're held back by staffing with our partnering agencies. This is a service that previously has been no cost to us. With Esser funds, we're now supporting students who are at risk and who are either uninsured or underinsured. In the first 3 weeks that we had those funds approved, in fact, I think we're up to 4 weeks now, but I checked after the first 3 weeks, we were able to go ahead and get 9 students connected who otherwise would not have been connected with services. So those funds are going to good use. We also have SEL 3 signature practice calendars that are released to all of our educators, so it's taking time off of teachers who otherwise might need to plan activities. Those signature practices include welcoming activities, sometimes just a check-in to make sure you're engaging your students, then an engaging activity to do throughout your lessons so that you're not just doing lecture, which feels silly because this is currently lecture style that I'm doing for you now. And then the third activity is a closing, a send-off, something that's either a summary or to motivate you to move on with the next activity that's going to happen in your day. This year, I'm proud to say that we have integrated social emotional learning walkthroughs of all. These have been conducted at all of our physical campuses so far, and then our 2 SEL specialists are getting that data out to all of our principals so that they can see how their campuses are functioning in regards to progress towards their school improvement goals related to SEL. And then our team members can talk with them about how they can support their continuous improvement towards their goals. We are also working with school counselors to develop closing the gap action plans. They've recently turned all of those in to our lead counselor, and we'll be reviewing those to see where we can support their goals, which are also working towards the maximum student success on each of our campuses. For this year only, we have funding from the DHHS grant to have 1-to-1 ratios with school nurse support. This is through funding that will allow us to have contract nurses in our school buildings. And this has never been done before. So it's really exciting that we have the opportunity for funding for 1-to-1 with our school nurses. Also recognizing that nurses are in high demand, and we are constantly needing to find new nurses with the contract services. So we are still working with them anytime we have vacancies. We have a reentry plan that we'll be integrating into our training with CISP team members, like our student support members and our administrators, so that we can help students transition from hospitalizations or extended absences to reintegrate back into the school building smoothly. And we have established suicide prevention protocols and threat assessment protocol. I'm really proud of the protocols we have in place because we had them before they were required, and our threat assessment protocol has actually been given accolades at the state level. And then finally, the Center for Safer Schools grant, we've already received that this year for $225,000 thanks to Dr. Cherry Johnston, and that will go towards supporting training school staff in school safety. Anything you want to say before I move on?
Any questions on the first presentation or comments?
Okay, all right.
Well, I do.
Okay.
I think every one of us, I am concerned about the suicide screening numbers. You're right. We are right on track to be where we were last year, and that's really concerning to me, that our young people are struggling like this. We have to do everything we can do to reach these young people and give them hope for their future and for their present, and that's just concerning. I want us to have more discussions about what we are doing to address a young person that doesn't see a future. Also, the contract nurses now, we have currently a nurse in every school. I know we may have a vacancy in one or two schools, but at the current time, we have staffed nurse for every school based on the money that we have for this year. Is that correct?
We have money allotted to staff the positions for every
Right.
school. We have had vacancies, and they vary quite frequently with the
Okay,
contract
so if there's a
services.
vacancy, then a nurse has to pick up another school.
For potentially two schools, which
Okay.
is still lower than
Much
we've
lower
had
than
in
that,
the
the
past.
ratio than we've ever had before, so that's good. But this is a one-year deal. So I just want to we need funding for this to continue.
We do.
Because actually, it's 11 positions that we picked up through this funding?
Oh, no, it's,
Was it more than
had
that?
21 nurses, and we've got 48
Okay,
schools.
okay,
So it's
okay.
well over 20
I was thinking that we
positions.
were only contracting with 11, though. I'm sorry, but.
We
it-
might
it-
actively only have
Yeah,
one, but
yeah, but the others we've picked up on staff, but obviously they understand that it's a one-year deal. I mean, that's all we can promise.
Right, and when we're able to hire, if we had sustainable funds for this, we wouldn't see the turnover like we see right now.
Right.
We've got some phenomenal contract nurses, but we also get people who, you're a contract nurse because you don't want the permanency, and your plans might change pretty quickly, leaving some vacancies.
Okay, well, that's more work for us to do, to try to ensure that we have the funding to continue, because I think everybody agrees we need a nurse in every school.
Absolutely.
What would that funding look like, the amount?
Do you know that right offhand? Per nurse. And you're looking at 28 more permanent positions?
Multiply 28 times 75,000.
We can dream. Absolutely.
We're going to work to make it come a reality. The mental health, we have 31 schools, that, we're paying for that primarily out of Esser? The 31 in a grant, okay. Now, Esser goes away in 2024, so that's another area that we've got to look at.
Mhm. And that won't impact the 31 schools being connected. What it will impact are the 9 students that I told you have been connected. They wouldn't have been able to be connected with mental health services. This time, correct.
Right.
And we work it out with the agencies to give us pro bono placement, but that's limited based on their availability to do that. Okay. And thank you for mentioning the importance of our attention to suicide prevention. The whole purpose of the SEL mental health plan is to improve that over time. And I'm glad that our numbers are tracking where the whole rest of the world is trending, because if they were lower, I would be worried we were missing students who are at risk and we weren't able to identify them. So we've got a lot of wonderful staff doing what they need to do every day to identify and triage as needed. So to shift gears a little bit, I'm going to share with you our 2021-2022 school year for dropout data. So on these slides, you've got a 5-year comparison here for our dropout rates. And you'll also notice that at the bottom, North Carolina's rate is not available yet. They're still getting their data firmed up, and that won't be released until at the earliest March, usually. When you look at the actual number of dropouts that we've had in this past year, you'll see that we have had an increase in the past year. And then when you look at our dropout data by category, you can see that we have 27.9% of those students were in the Exceptional Children's Program during their time with us. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Last year was our first year with the Virtual Academy. and we had a lot of people shifting to that. There's still a lot of students who have not been able to fully reintegrate into school buildings. I think that gap was hard, maybe too difficult for some of our students post-COVID. Because when we all signed up to go to kindergarten, this group that's come through, we didn't sign up to go to kindergarten online, and then we had a lot of shifts.
So those 43 students were enrolled 21-22 at JCPS Virtual Academy.
That's where they ended their year.
That's where they ended their year.
So we can't account for them being in our school system elsewhere right now. So those dropout of someone we can't account that is in another school system somewhere or our school system. Is that correct?
Now, I will share there are 6 that have already re-enrolled in the school district again, because they can come back anytime. That's why sometimes we have multiple drops.
But within the first 10 days of school, our staff was not able, those students did not re-enroll.
It's the first 20 days, and
20
you're
days,
correct.
okay,
You
yeah.
are correct.
Yeah.
I'm asked Dr. King to remind me of virtual last year. So you could still transfer to virtual last year after the year started?
I believe we did allow some of that last year, strategic points.
I know it's not the case this year, but okay.
Was a student, Dr. King, student body of 1,200 students? Okay.
Yeah.
So do we have any idea what caused the spike at SSS?
If it's okay, I'm going to go a little bit out of order. I want to show you another slide that may lend itself to this conversation. So the 5-year trends for dropout reasons by code, we're only allowed to designate 1 code per dropout. You'll see that we've had significant increase this past year in work and employment. And one of the things that I'm frequently speaking with the team at SSS about is that their students frequently make the choice to work and be employed rather than graduating. And they do innovative things on their campus, like Evening Academy, and to make sure that they're helping students who need to work still graduate. But that is one of the things that I suspect has happened. And then lack of engagement, I noted it's only up 5 from last year, but it jumped tremendously during the pandemic, up to 94 being the reason for dropouts. And then community college is also on the rise as a reason for us. Does anybody want me to go back to the school screen? Okay.
Board members, I would also interject that we do have to remember that our students who are in high school now and are at the point where they're beginning to take some of these actions are students who were early high school students at the beginning of the COVID period. And so that connection that students make to school as 8th and 9th graders to high school, many of those students unfortunately didn't have the opportunity to make those deep connections because of the realities of the pandemic. And so I would suggest that the fact that we're still seeing this elevated number of dropouts is connected still directly to the pandemic, and so it will likely wane as we move forward and past that in a complete way.
And you and I have spoken about this before, but your office, do we know, especially those who dropped out, because, a student can actually drop out in middle school, I mean, if they're 16. If they're 16. What type of credits had many of them earned? And I know you can't answer that question tonight, but I'm always very concerned about that. Am I 16 years old or 17 years old? How old was I when I dropped out? Mm-hmm. And how many, being that it was in high school, how many credits did I have? Was there any hope to getting my diploma? I mean, that's if I'm 18 years old and I've got 9 credits, why continue?
Yeah.
So I just think that's something that we need to be aware of, and how do we address that?
No, that is important to consider. It's not one of the shown slides, but if you're engaging online and you see this full presentation, or if you have the presentation up, there are slides not shown in the presentation that have by age. Okay, so that will be available, and you'll also see, I know the EC breakdown is also of interest at times, so those things are listed. Yes, absolutely.
I think I mentioned this last week, but I would be very interested in knowing how many of these dropouts were truly enrolled in a career path through CTE. Because what I have seen with CTE is there is not an issue of lack of engagement, and there are employment opportunities through paid internships. So, that might be something that we need to look at, is getting more of our students involved in CTE.
So I went and looked into that with the help of the CTE, the people who work in that department, and 16 of these students could be considered concentrators in a CTE area, so 6%. So I appreciate you wanting to look into that. I really think that from the time that we had these numbers, we've got really good things in place moving forward. Specifically, Virtual Academy is engaging with their learners in different ways this year. I think that's going to help them to feel more connected to their school and for us to have earlier warnings on when they're not engaging. We've also been able to, you asked about the credits, and while I don't know for every single one off the top of my head, I know that 9 of these students had few enough credits to where it would be feasible for them to still graduate with their cohort. So, well, we've got different ones who went to summer, but the 9 that I'm talking about stayed out completely at the beginning of this school year, and we're trying to re-engage them specifically to get them back before, because we don't want, any opportunity to be left on the table that we're not exploring with them. Speaking of summer school, though, that's a huge celebration. This is the 2nd year in a row that we have gotten not only students re-engaged that otherwise would have been dropouts, but we're celebrating summer graduates. To go from a dropout to a graduate in 2 months, it's mind-blowing to think about, and it's wonderful that we've had the summer learning opportunity to make this happen. So we had 23 of our students re-enroll, so you're not seeing those in the number because they came back to us, 19 of which just came in, knocked it out, and they were completely done. They graduated in summer school. So it's a powerful program that I hope we're able to continue to fund. Any other questions about our dropout data?
Any other questions from the board? We appreciate, Dr. Allen, the information tonight, and appreciate what your staff does to make sure that we identify each and every student that may be at risk, as well as trying to assist them to stay in Johnston County Public Schools and graduate. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. King.
Board members, excuse me. Our next item is JCI, Johnston County Industries Science Kits Refurbishment. This is an update and an action item. As you know, board members, in June of 2022, you authorized our office to spend up to $360,000 for a contract with JCI to pick up and refurbish science kits in our K through 8 schools. To date, we have used $348,600 of those dollars for that contract. We now understand that we will need to pay an additional $17,772.77 to complete that contract. So this evening, board members, we are asking for authorization to spend an additional $6,372.77, added to the portion that was not already spent, that will allow us to cover the entirety of this contract for this year.
This is an action item, so I entertain the motion.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Carroll, second by Mr. Johnston. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, board members. Our next item is Career Investigations Labs purchase. The CTE department has been working to provide career investigation labs in our middle schools over the last 2 years. In years past, in the last 2 years, we have purchased 9 of these labs. we have purchased 6 of these labs. This year, we will purchase an additional 3 of these labs, which will bring us to a total of 9 of our middle schools that have these career exploration labs available to them. These labs are really important because they offer our students the opportunity, beginning as young as 6th grade, to explore the kinds of careers that they might be interested in through technology. And to do so over the course of the 3 years that they spend in their middle school programs, with the hope that they will have some sense of what they'd like to do for themselves professionally by the time they enter high school, which then hopefully connects quite well with our CTE offerings and the like, and puts our students in very strong position in terms of their career and college readiness. We conducted a review of submitted proposals, and we would like to ask the board this evening to allow us to spend $283,415.99 with Paxton Patterson, labs from Paxton Patterson. This purchase will be made with CTE funds.
This is an action item to buy additional lab kits. I'll entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Johnston, second by Mr. Byrd. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Dr. King.
Indeed.
Mr. Moore. We're just thankful that you're here.
Of course I'm here. And I have quite a few items for you tonight, fortunately. So my first item is the West Campus Roofing project. This is a year 4, 2018 bond project, but after doing an infrared survey, about 2/3 of that roof has no moisture in intrusion, so we decided to recoat that and salvage the roof and just recoat it versus completely tearing the roof off, which will save about $400,000. The remaining portion on one end will be recovered. Replaced. I'm sorry. It's insulation, decking, membrane, everything replaced. So we received 6 bids back on October 27th. The lowest bid was $231,710, provided by Etheridge Roofing of Wilson, NC. We did request an additional contingency of $25,000 be approved to cover any unforeseen issues discovered during construction. Again, this is a 18 bond funded project for approval.
Entertain a motion to approve this roofing project.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Andrews, second by Mr. Wooten. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 6-0.
All right, my next item is to replace the fire alarm system at North Johnston High School. The panel there is obsolete and well beyond its life, and we do plan to replace it this time with a non-proprietary system, a notifier fire panel, which is substantially cheaper. But this will more importantly bring the system up to current code. We did receive multiple bids, and BFPE of Clayton submitted a low bid of $152,758. We are requesting a $15,000 contingency, and this is the FY22 capital funded project.
This is an action item. I'll entertain a motion to approve the North Johnston High fire alarm replacement.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Andrews.
Second.
Second by Ms. Sessoms. All in favor? Any questions or comments? Excuse me. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. My next item is the Building Automated System Tritium N4 Initiation Project. This is basically the backbone and the very first controls project for us. So this will completely set up our new backbone system. With that, we will go ahead and convert 5 schools to this system and install new front-end JACE 8000 servers. And as you know, and currently in design with Esser funds is the much larger controls project that will update and tie in 19 more schools. We have hired a consultant from IEP to help us oversee this project and to set up our graphics system, our operating system. So we did receive, I think it was five bids, but the low bid from Brady Train Services of Mooresville came in at $148,600. Again, the contingency requested of $20,000 to cover unforeseen construction issues, and this is the FY22 capital funded project.
Right, this is an action item. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Andrews.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wooten. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 7-0.
All right, thank you. My next item is the Innovation Academy Kitchen, Bathroom, and Window Project. This is a combined 2018 bond project and the Esser project, providing a new kitchen for the school. It will also finish the bathrooms on the 8th grade wing and replace the single pane windows with new energy efficient curtain wall system sliding glass windows. So this will reduce thermal transfer and also increase fresh air for better control and the quality of indoor air. Height Associates provided the design services. Bids were received on November 8th, and the low bid was received from Wimco Corporation, familiar to Johnston County Schools. Bid of $2,839,000. Contingency again of $50,000 requested for abatement of the asbestos in the window caulking and glazing, and to cover any additional unforeseen issues. Again, this is a split funded 18 bond and Esser funded project.
This is an action item, so I entertain a motion to improve the Innovation Academy.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wooten.
Second.
Second by Ms. Sessoms. Any questions or comments?
What is the amount? Do I have the amount of the 18 bond that goes toward this?
It's in the board. It's so $760,000 is from the Esser funds for the window bid, and the remaining $2,079,000 is from the 18 bond.
Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 7-0.
And I do, while we're talking 18 bond, want to update the board as well. Well, as anyone watching, kind of where we are with the 18 bond. Again, you hear me say year 4, so it started in 19, 20, 21, and now 22. They sell a certain amount of the bonds each year. And with the new Thanksgiving school occurring in year 2 and 3, it pretty much kind of shelved everything else until the fourth year that was left. So years 1 through 3, again, the 24 classroom addition at Court Holders High School. South Johnston got many things, a parking lot, tennis courts, track resurfaced, some bleachers, the field house replaced, and a roofing project as well. Princeton converted and got the turf field to support both the middle and the high school athletics. North Johnston High received the HVAC upgrades in the gym as well as the entrance retrofit here with ADA access as well, and we're fixing to bid. We are bidding and open next week the cafeteria expansion as well at North Johnston High School. Colayton High School received the field house renovations to the CTE wing, and I think in January we should be able to bid their auditorium, which is, you'll see a picture coming up there as well. There's the new Thanksgiving school, elementary school. And so here's those remaining year forward. We just approved a couple of them, and the rest are either wrapping up design or being bid as we speak. There's the concept for the gym at Triple S High. It will include a weight room and a public bathroom and gym space. And then there's the auditorium for Colayton High as well that we spoke of. All right, so moving into the 2022 bond now. So typically in the past, we select a designer and they design it, and then it's bid. And on bid day, you have your budget, and you're saying, I hope it comes in within budget. But in today's construction market, that is a very scary moment. So if you can afford it, you award it and build it. But if not, you go back to the drawing board and you cut out some stuff. But remember, at this point in time, it's been bid. So the competition is gone. So you're negotiating with a contractor who, I mean, your cards are on the table at that point. And at this point, you're 12 to 16 months into the project with the design fixing to start construction. It is traditionally, though, the most competitive method because everything is bid other than the design firm. But with the building program that we're starting with this bond and successive bonds, a large high school, elementary school addition and renovations at Cooper, but then future as well, many large builds, middle school, three more elementary schools, more additions, renovations. I am requesting approval to use the construction management at risk method. So high schools, we have seen anywhere from 75 to 140 million to build a high school. Construction projects awarded to build one school. Elementary is 35 to 70. Structural steel right now is up 138% since the pandemic. Lumber 103%, copper, labor rates. Everyone, we've raised pay across the board. Chillers, as we talk about, often went from a 6 to 8 week delivery time to 40 to 52 weeks. electrical, the large switch gear went to 52 to 62. Just tell me a year. Don't tell me 52 weeks. Just tell me a year. But roughly, construction costs have doubled in 2 years.
Mr. Moore,
Yes, sir.
can you explain to me what switch gear is?
So it comes off the power line into the transformer from about 12,000 volts to 480, 240 volts, smaller voltage. It goes into a main switch gear. That switch gear divides it into, some goes to the administration panel, some go to the 100 hall panels, some go to the 200 hall panels. It's the main input from the power company into the building. We toured a school in Wake County a couple months ago that they opened the school with this like piecemeal switch gear. They had panels everywhere because the switch gear was still about 4 months out. So over Christmas, actually, when their switch gear comes, they are going to take all this hodgepodge panels out and put their main panel in.
You could talk for an hour about switch gear, couldn't you?
I could. Give me some more questions. So what I'm getting at is why is it more advantageous for us to use CM at risk? It allows us at the very beginning to not only select the design firm but select the builder too. And what does that do? It gets the person who knows these construction costs, who knows these lead times, at the table from the very beginning, not after the design is done. And what is the risk part? The risk part is they give us a guaranteed maximum price. So at the very beginning, we know what our guaranteed, my budget is this. So now design team, contractor, you have to meet this budget. You can't come in 10 million over budget or whatever it is. So the risk is on them and not us at the back end. It also shortens the overall project schedule because what happens is as they design it, they bid packages. And so we can bid the site work package, the grading and clearing and all of that, while the building is still being designed. So it allows us to start sooner. And as much as we need school capacity, let's start as soon as we can. Also, since it's smaller packages, like there'll be a concrete package, there'll be a masonry package, there'll be a roofing package, so on and so forth. It allows the smaller subs, the minority subs, the hub subs to participate, whereas they couldn't participate as much on a larger project. It does come with a fee though, because you have the contractor spend more time with you at the table, but it should be, and I expect it to be, mitigated with the contractor's input. So catching those, hey, let's not use this, it's gonna take a year to get, let's use this, or this costs twice as much right now, let's use these windows. Stuff like that, so it says should, but I expect it to be mitigated, and I'm gonna hold them to it too for you. So it's ideal for large projects, new schools, stuff like that, and also complex projects. If we go in and renovate a Cooper Academy that was built in the 50s, a Clayton High School that was built in the 60s, that have all of these old grandfathered building codes, it's ideal to have the construction person with you then. So we will continue the more competitive traditional route of the design, bid it, and build it on other projects, smaller stuff such as we're starting now, design selection on the addition at Benson Elementary. All right, I think I'm done. That's for approval. Or
I did just have one quick question. The North Johnston cafeteria expansion, is that something that'll happen during the summer when no kids are there?
Absolutely. So they'll start in the spring, and get most of the stuff up and done. But when school's out is when they'll tie in everything. Mm-hmm.
In the industry, what is a construction management fee, ballpark?
It kind of depend. Well, it does depend on the project size. The larger it is, the fee comes down. Smaller is more fee. But anywhere from like 0.5% to like a 2% fee. It kind of depends on the project size. But that's all something that we can negotiate.
So that fee is paid, that fee would be paid up front? I mean, that's a guaranteed, let's say, $100 million school at 1% is gonna cost us $1 million. That's gonna be the fee. But it may not be that since it's a large project. But do we pay that fee up front? Or that's what we agree to pay, but that prevents us from having to pay more for the facility than the bid came in at. Am I right about that?
That's right, yes, ma'am. But it's not all due up front. Kind of like a design firm, we pay as they provide schematic design, and then as they provide concept design, and then construction design is the
Right.
final one.
But all this would come out of the bond money?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, yeah.
This is an action item. I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Wooten, second by Mr. Byrd. Any other questions or comments?
No, I just think it's a prudent decision and direction to go, especially with the times of the supply chain and those type issues and the cost of materials, and having the local people that can bid on the projects and do certain sections of the school project. So I think it's a good move on our part. Sometimes you have to spend a little money to save some money because the cost of materials right now.
Well, I also think that when you have a person with Mr. Moore's knowledge to assist in this construction management at risk, it definitely helps. And so for that, I thank you for looking into this and trying to save money for Johnston County Public Schools in the future, because every dollar is allotted for that we need to spend in the right manner, and I think you're doing a fantastic job, and I know Mr. Britt's going to make sure that we continue down that path as well. So we do have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. One more item, okay? And this is a difficult one to even bring, but Cleveland High School's enrollment is currently at 1,880 students, up 94 students from last year, but they are 604 students over the constructed capacity of 1,200. 604 students over the capacity of 1,200. That's 50%. That they have tremendous growth occurring within its boundaries. They already have 10 mobiles on site comprising 18 classrooms. Double-digit teachers are on carts sharing classrooms. We are requesting approval to provide them a 6-classroom mobile to help the best we can with their capacity woes. We did receive five quotes. Mobile Modular provided the lowest overall quote with a monthly lease of $6,250 and an initial setup cost of $55,680, not including the cost to provide the power, the internet, the fire alarm, the ADA access ramp, furniture, building permit to separately set up this mobile classroom. This will be paid for by local funds.
Mr. Moore, does the 6 classroom mobile have a restroom?
No, sir. But there are a sufficient capacity restrooms within the building code required 200 feet.
This is an action item. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Oh, go ahead.
Motion by Mr. Johnston.
Second.
Second by Ms. Andrews.
Mr. Britt, how do we sit with this?
Bringing us to, that's going to impact his budget, and it was not something that we were able to foresee or plan whenever his budget was built. So it will put him in the red, and so we will we'll come back to Dr. Racy and the board once we some other things we're going to talk about here shortly. Come back in January and revisit his budget.
All right, that's what my point was, is that this money was not budgeted because unforeseeable, so, yeah. It's got to come from money that may have been designated for some other things.
Would Mr. Moore, a build out of Cleveland High School be something for 2024 bond?
Absolutely. That was a tier one, but when we went from 253 million to 177.
And when the build out happens, these mobiles will go away.
Well, when the high school happens, they will. So.
Cleveland's running out of room. I mean, there's not many more areas to have a build out, is there?
Oh no, just that one area, and it's 6, but I mean beyond this is we're putting mobiles in the front yard. So.
And when you anticipate this being at Cleveland, how long?
3 years until the high school opens.
Wow.
But even after high school opens, you'll still need the build out.
Yes, sir. Oh yeah.
But will you still use this at the Cleveland?
After the high school?
Yeah.
I hope not. But there are grandfathered processes and boundary and attendance, and people have to go to the new high school.
But it also does not take in effect the amount of lots that are still available to be built on without going before the planning board, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So, more than likely.
So either build out or the mobiles will stay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Long term. Yes, sir.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Thank y'all.
Mr. Vetrano.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just 2 items for the board this evening under my area. First, 2 recommendations from the superintendent, administrative recommendations. The first, serving as an interim principal effective December 1st, Mr. Kenneth Bennett, a retired principal that many of you know. The recommendation is for him to serve as interim principal effective December 1st at Four Oaks Middle School. The second, central administrator contract for Ms. Jennifer McClure to serve as executive director of exceptional children. She has been serving as an interim in that role, and that contract will be from November 23rd to June 30 of 2025.
This is an action item. I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Sassum, second by Mr. Johnson. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. The second item are revisions to this year's calendars, both the traditional and then early college and CTLA. Board members, as you recall, September 30th, school was closed for students and staff due to inclement weather. and we hope we are now through the hurricane season. We have consulted with our principals and, of course, senior leadership, and our recommendation is that we waive the student day as a result of meeting the requisite number of instructional hours, and that we add an optional workday onto each calendar so that we meet the 215-day requirement for staff. And so on the traditional calendar, we would add a workday on June 14th, and on the calendar for early college and CTLA, we would add a workday on May 24th. This actually, if there is an advantage, the advantage of adding a workday on the traditional calendar is we really need that day for retesting, and Dr. King can attest to that. So if there was any benefit to a hurricane coming, it allowed us to revise our calendar that actually helps us to meet a need, which is offering an additional day for retesting. So this is before you for your consideration and approval.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the calendar revision.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Sessoms, second by Mr. Johnston. Any questions or comments?
It's an optional workday, or is it a mandatory workday?
It'll be an optional workday on both of those calendars. That's how it's listed right now.
Okay. But we will be testing,
Correct.
so staff will be there. Retesting, that's what I
Right,
meant.
so not-
So staff would still be there.
Right.
Okay.
And we had that last year, some optional days, and we had a sufficient number there to retest. Yes, ma'am. Right. What we have found are usually the teachers who have students involved in those retesting
They
want
stay, yeah.
to be there.
That's good. Yeah,
to
I
support
appreciate
their
every one of
kids.
them, yeah.
Right.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Vetrano.
Thank you.
Mr. Britt.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Bracy. For your consideration tonight is our second budget amendment of the year. And I think the clicker is working. As is no surprise, we are spending down fund balance this year. So, we started this fiscal year with $31 million of fund balance available. And at this time, we have $10.9 million budgeted to balance the budget. So we know what our wild cards are at this point are really two major things. There's really three if you count inflation as well. But we had a significant reversion of funds from the state, which I'll talk about in a second. And we also have vacancy savings. So those two things are kind of pulling in opposite directions with the budget. And so just yesterday afternoon, we did get our reversion from DPI. And so to talk a little bit about what a reversion is that the state gives you an allotment of money. So, it might be, we'll make it simple. We'll make the math really easy. And we'll say it's $100. It's a lot more than that, but we'll make it math easy. It's $100. So and then when you build your budget, you build it cautiously, especially when you know that there's a reversion coming, and that's what Dr. Bracy does. That's one of the things, I pick with him. I say, I like to say I've met my match with being cautious with spending and staffing. But you staff, let's say you staff for having $90 worth of expenses. But then DPI will come back and later revise that budget and say, oh, okay, no, you had a new charter school to open up, so we're going to pull, in this case, $8.5 million away from the local education agency to give to the new charter school. And that's what's happened yesterday. So we knew the reversion was coming. It's just a matter of what that dollar amount would be. So now we have that dollar amount. And so just to go back to our analogy, now we've got $85, where, instead of we had 100 before, but we've got $90 worth of expenses. And so you've got that $5 that you got to figure out how to pay for. So where does that $5 come from? It comes from fund balance. So everything, you'll hear me say quite frequently, everything trickles down to fund balance. And so that's how that works. So it just trickles down into that number that you see there. And so will we end the year, the fiscal year, spending $10.9 million of fund balance? Well, that's the real question at this point, because we still have that pull. You know, we've got vacancy savings, we have inflation going on. So all those components are going in. We've got new mobile classrooms, and we have other things. We know we have a couple of budgets that are really being challenged this year, one of them being facilities, the other one being transportation. And so we need to come back in January and say, and look at, you know, where are we at? What are all these factors that are weighing on us, and what impact are they having? So it could be that we don't need the $10.9 million of fund balance. It could be that we need a little bit more fund balance to spend. So once we have a good understanding of what all these variables, because these are many, many $1 million of swing, you know, that we could have. You know, when all these variables are at least a little bit more known, then we can forecast where we'll be for the year. And that's why I advocate so adamantly for having a significant fund balance at a district our size. Because even though it's unusual to have, you know, an $8 million reversion in 1 year, that's pretty hefty. DPI reached out to us personally to say, "Woo, we're taking a lot of money from you. You know, are you prepared for that?" And of course, we were. But while that's pretty unusual, it's not that unusual for Johnston County Schools, because if you go back to 2018, there was a new charter school that opened, and that was a $3.5 million reversion that year. And so if you go back and think about what was going on in 2018, 2019, well, that was a year that we spent $6 million of fund balance in that year and got down to where we had just a couple $100,000 of fund balance left over. And so you couldn't have afforded to do that same thing another year. We ran out of cash. But that's just one of the factors that go into why does a school district need fund balance, and why does your bean counter stand in front of you and argue for a healthy fund balance? It's because it can swing millions of dollars from year to year. So that's where we stand today, and we're in good shape. We're in a good position at this point. Looking at the remainder of the budget, you have $250,000 that we've added to the budget, pulling from fund balance to support the SRO grant. So, it's been, publicized about the $1.6 million additional state funds that we received to support the SRO expansion. So there's also a local match that comes with it. Once that expansion is fully operational, that match will be much larger than $250,000. But that's what we think it'll be for this year, to finish out this year to date. And so then we'll come back to the board, with Dr. Bracey's budget proposal for next year that we give to the county commissioners of exactly what we expect that match to be, based on what the costs are from the various law enforcement agencies that we work with. So you also have $70,000 for athletic field painting. That is not a new expense. That's just one that we're constantly trying to figure out which pot of money makes the most sense to pay for certain items. And historically, maintenance was paying for that, but seems to make more sense to have athletics to pay for it. So we pulled that expense out and moved it to athletics. And then we have a $20 million allotment from the federal government. And so that is not, an additional $20 million to spend. It's the federal government follows the federal fiscal year, which operates from October through September 30th. And so we receive that pot of money separate, and it follows that fiscal year. So it's nothing that's not unexpected. And then we have, attached to the agenda, we have all the capital outlay details. So, speaking of Esser, so my team has been working on this for a little while now to look at what our Esser expenditures have been to date, and then what we're looking at for the plan going forward. And so this, Ms. Milizato has put this together for us, and it really puts together that pretty intense budget that she works with. It's 30 different Esser programs, and she's listed them all here together in one slide that shows what our expenses are in a plain English language version. So, what did we spend on telecommunications? Well, that was hotspots for students when we were remote, and that expense has gone away. That's why you see it at 0. And you can go down the list and see, what all we've used the Esser expenses for up to this point.
what all we've spent so far. If we go to the next slide, now we're forward looking. So what's the plan for ESSER expenses going forward? And so you've got it broken down by the different pots of money. So some of your major ones are, of course, $27 million set aside for construction, $10.5 million set aside for computer equipment. That's to maintain the one-to-one devices for students, and so on. You can see the rest. A minimum of 20% of our ESSER funds have to be spent on learning loss. So that's part of the requirements for this pot of money. And so that's where you see the top 4 lines up there fit that purpose for learning loss. So even if you scale back one area, you'll need to increase expenses in another area to satisfy that 20% requirement. To talk a little bit just about indirect cost and what that is, because you see a $4 million line there, and you know the folks on the outside probably won't really understand what is indirect cost. And so the outside world or the business world would consider that overhead. And so that's your overhead costs that get applied to federal programs. So how that's calculated is the federal government tells you how much you're allowed to charge to that program. DPI calculates that for us, and they say, Johnston County Schools, you can charge 12% or 9% or whatever that calculation ends up being. And so DPI gives us that percentage, we apply it to the budget, and that is the dollar amount that you see. And this is the list of, on this next slide, is the list of our construction projects that are already underway. So they may not necessarily be building, but they're going through the RFQ, RFP process, and it's got the different start dates out there and where they are. So you can see some of the major projects is the addition to Benson Elementary and HVAC controls, quite a bit of HVAC and chillers and the like on that side. And with that, that is our second budget amendment.
Mr. Britt, thank you for this update. Thank you for always making sure that we're within our budget and don't spend outside the normal means. And this ESSER funds, it was great timing. As you said earlier, we were down to a couple $100,000 in our fund balance. Not saying the pandemic was great, but the money that was given to us and the opportunity to do some of these items that Ms. Sessoms talked about earlier in her comments and to take care of some of these construction projects was greatly needed and was very much appreciative of what they gave us and what we utilized it for. So this is a budget amendment. So this is an action item, so I entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sessoms, second by Ms. Andrews. Any questions or comments?
Well, I know we're not real happy about the reversion, but you told us a year ago it was coming because the state had predicted that our enrollment would be higher.
Right.
And we knew it wasn't going to get to that, but I am excited that we have surpassed our pre-COVID numbers, and I think today we're sitting at 37,151. At the end of the second month, we were at about 36,813, which is really the measure they used for the reversion. But we continue to grow. When you think that we have as many students right now in Johnston County Schools as we had the last day of school last year, and a charter school and a private school has been built.
Yes.
That's phenomenal.
Yes.
And I am tickled to death. Our numbers are not going down. They're going up, and I think we'll see even a greater increase next year with the growth and with the new schools already being, the charter school and the private school already being built. So I appreciate that, and it's exciting. But you told us it was coming, and now we have the number. So I know maybe you're sleeping a little better at night because now you know what it is.
He pretty much knew the number, too.
That's right.
Appreciate you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Britt. While Dr. Pierce is coming up, I do want to just recognize two individuals that are in the audience. Both of them ran in the previous election. Mr. Mark Lane, thank you for your commitment to Johnston County Public Schools and what you have set out to do. We appreciate everything from your campaign. And Mr. Terry Tippett, thank you and welcome to the board in December. So we're looking forward to that and wishing you well in your endeavors as you join the Board of Education. So thank both of y'all for coming tonight and staying through the whole meeting tonight. Dr. Pierce.
Evening, board members. The first item you have on your agenda is the Town of Clayton July 2023 MOU. The Town of Clayton has requested to use Clayton High School campus for its July 2023 celebration. They would staff the event and obtain all required permits and coverage required to hold this event. We have worked with our board attorney and the Town of Clayton on the attached MOU for your consideration. This is for approval.
Entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Johnston, second by Mr. Wooten. Any questions or comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 7-0.
This next part is very exciting, and I'll try my best to get through it, but I think it's very important to share a few things, and it's sad that it's coming later in the meeting, so I hope people watch it all the way through that are not here. But last night in Johnston County, something big happened, and tonight hopefully we'll finish it. But most recently, Johnston County Public Schools applied for a grant through the Center for Safer Schools. I'm excited to share with you that we were awarded 3 grants totaling $1,693,500. Special thank you to Dr. Cherry Johnson, who helped write that grant with the help of some other staff. But one of these grants was for $1,408,000, which will allow us to start the process of placing a school resource officer at every single Johnston County public school. This funding will only fund up to a portion of each officer's salary, as Mr. Britt was sharing earlier, but we will make a significant impact on helping us obtain the vital measures of school safety. We already have commitments from some municipalities to have SROs in our schools as soon as January 1st, 2023. This evening, we will make 3 additional requests. On Monday, we requested and were granted the funds from our county commissioners for the following request. I want to thank the county commissioners and taxpayers of Johnston County for making this a priority for our students and staff. And we will also use the funds from our recent successful bond, I'm tongue-tied up here, to fund one of these projects. These funds have been provided in advance by the commissioners so we can move forward with implementation. So the first exhibit that you will see is for a open gate weapons detection system. Johnston County Public Schools did an RFP for weapons detection system. Open Gate is a portable weapon detection system, similar to the one that you see outside the boardroom here, that can be placed strategically at entrances such as bus rider entrances, student driver entrances, and secondary carpool entrances that can be moved as needed. It is our recommendation that we purchase 37 open gate systems from Point Security for a price of $623,527.82. This is an action item.
Motion by Mr. Carroll, second by Mr. Johnson. Any questions or comments? Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I echo that. I was there last night, and it was great to see that their focus is on security, and it's well needed. And very excited to approve this tonight. With no further comments, I'm gonna say all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries 7-0.
Awesome, thank y'all. The next one is for an Evolve Express weapons detection system. Johnston County Public Schools did an RFP for weapon detection systems. Evolve is a stationary weapon detection system that would be placed at our elementary, middle, and high school main entrances and at other places throughout our district as needed. It is our recommendation that we purchase 54 Evolve systems from Alliance Technology Group for a total price of $6,229,538.16.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Andrews, second by Mr. Wooten. Any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 7-0.
Last but not least, Johnston County Public Schools did an RFP for the purpose of expanding our S2 district-wide access control system to include door monitoring of all non-access controlled exterior doors located at our 45 facilities. The outcome of this project is to monitor all exterior doors in addition to the current access control doors. And it is our recommendation that we contract with North Carolina Sound of Goldsboro for this project at a cost of $1,505,831.82, and this is what the bond will fund of the $1.5 million.
Entertain a motion?
So move.
Motion by Mr. Wooten, second by Mr. Carroll. Any questions or comments?
Well, I just want to say again, number one, this is part of the bond, and the commissioners have agreed to forward us that money so that we can, to front that money so that we can go ahead and do these items. And I do want to comment, and Dr. Pierce knows as well, when we reached out to the commissioners, it was never even a question that they were going to do this. And my hat goes off to them. I am excited about the relationship we have with our county commissioners, but I cannot thank them enough for the fact that when we sat down with them and talked about this, they made it happen because they understood how important it was.
Absolutely. I echo what Ms. Andrews just said, and never did they question it. It was all about how can we make our schools safer, and thank you to everybody that was involved in those meetings, and for the county commissioners for what they did last night. It was. And
I do want to thank all the county commissioners, but Vice Chair Patrick Harris, he really was a great person to work with. All of them are, but he sort of headed that up, and I appreciate that.
Okay. No other comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Dr. Pierce.
Thank you. If I could, just as we close, I think it's important to let everyone know that, we don't share a lot about all of our protocols and processes for school security for a reason. But I think it's very important, one, to make sure that everyone knows that everybody has a very important duty in keeping our schools safe. And I just want to leave with this comment. If you see or hear something, say something. It is everyone's job to ensure we have school safety. We have an anonymous reporting app called Say Something, as well as a tip line on our website where potential threats can be entered. We also encourage you to call the school and speak to our administrators. It takes all of us, even with these safety updates, to keep our schools safe. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pierce. With no further items before the board, I'll entertain. Okay. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Wooten, second by Mr. Carroll. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 7-0. I now adjourn this board meeting.